So I'm about to... So those screws, you can see, the 4 retention screws. They see that they've got a little recess there and they've got little springs on them. They're not under a much tension, but if you're not ready for them, they will, easily shoot off and boom under your desk, and oh no, you're stuffed because they're always a specialist screw towards the card. Right, so I'm about to literally prise this apart like a sandwich, just with my Gorilla Mitten, hand in one hand, hold the back of the card, pull it apart. You see, you've got the cables here are for the fans, so you've got a bit of slack on them, so you'll be able to prise it apart, and then just remember to unplug those and check as well around the rest of the this card itself. Unlike the other Aurorus 3080s and 3070s, it doesn't have a display on the side, but the display will be attached via a cable like this as well, usually on the other side or around, or sometimes I've had them in the middle of the board. So you prise it apart, you think you're all good to go, and you pull it apart, and then boom, it starts ripping stuff off the PCB. You don't want that, because you want to make sure you unplug those, because if you tear that out, you're going to have to resolder some of the connections on the back there if it's connecting or touching, because otherwise it will earth out and fry the card. So just about ready to pull this apart, and then we will then commence to clean off the thermal paste and the thermal pads. Because this card hasn't been run, I can only imagine they run it in the factory, because this is freshly new out of the box. I can only imagine they tested it in the factory, so the thermal pads that are going to be on there might be slightly, well, not welded on, but they as soon as they heat up, they start gluing on. A bit like if you leave sellotape on a window in the sun, the glue melts onto it and it's harder to pull off.